Hello, hello. It's almost time. One more minute. You guys getting sick of me yet? I think I'm getting sick of me. I think I am. Good morning, good morning. For some of you, it is so not morning. And that is okay. Hope everybody is doing well. Just getting you so you are on my iPad as well. Hi, everybody. Had a few requests for Scribble sticks. So we're going to talk about Scribble sticks. I'll show you some ways to use them. We'll also talk about them in the context of what we've been talking about, which is where they fit in the art making process. And the great thing about Scribble sticks is they fit anywhere in the art making process. Did I sleep well? So last night was the first night with my CPAP. I had a really hard time going to sleep. I slept about 5.5 hours, but I woke up so perky. My husband was even laughing at me. He's like, "Why are you talking to me?" I'm like, "Oh, so even 5 hours of sleep on that CPAP, I feel a lot better." So, anywho, thank you for asking. I think it'll just keep getting better. You guys are so sweet. Thank you so much. So before we get started playing with Scribble stick techniques, I'm going to just recommend 2 books to you guys. So we're gonna play with Scribble sticks with stamps and just scribbling on tags and wetting them and creating watercolor and a little bit of drawing. And one of my favorite drawing stories was I read this article about this teacher, this college professor, and he went to visit his nephew. And his little nephew said, "Well, what do you do?" And the college professor said, "Oh, I teach people how to draw." And the little nephew said, "Oh, you mean they forgot?" And I love that because there are some people that have a God-given gift for drawing. Like my son's girlfriend is like that. She has a God-given gift. I do not have a God-given gift for drawing. I definitely don't, but I can get better if I work at it, and I can draw for my own enjoyment. I mean, I'm not going to ever get a job where you're going to, have me draw your pet or something like that, but I can draw for my own fun, right? Good morning, everyone. So I want to recommend The Confident Creative to you by Kat Bennett. I recommend this book to everybody, almost every single class. I'm like, everybody should read it. But the subtitle to the book is Drawing to Free the Hand and Mind. And I really love this book. So it's fantastic. You'll notice I even have turned down pages. I started reading it, and then I went back with a highlighter. Actually, it looks like I went back with a pencil. And I started underlining things. We draw occasionally for pleasure, but the results are always equal to our devotion. Devotion. I love, love, love that. So you can see where I've just been amazed by some of the things she says. Often beginners are afraid they're no good when their first efforts disappoint them. Our first efforts will disappoint us if what we're looking for is accuracy. And so she just releases you from the need to be accurate and encourages you no matter what. So one of the things that's fantastic about Scribble sticks is they are a coloring medium, a drawing medium, a shading medium, a water-based paint medium. So if you come back to our papers from yesterday, basically, in the anatomy of a page, so like I did art anatomy, you've got a background, you've got a focal point with supporting elements and any finishing touches, right? That's the anatomy. And so focal points and supporting elements, Scribble sticks can be used for all of these. And they can be used for backgrounds. They're one of the most versatile tools. They're probably one of my most used tools. I will try to keep up with questions, but I'm not sure I'll be able to, so don't be afraid to ask them again, or if some of you guys that are pros using these know the answer, please chime in as well. But the bottom line is a scribble stick is a stick of paint. And another way to think about it is a colored pencil that is also water soluble. So you can use them dry and color like a crayon. Now, Ranger doesn't love for me to call them crayons because Tim Holtz has an awesome product called Distress Crayons. So, and people always say, what's the difference? There's such a huge difference. His are so soft, you can blend them with your finger. Mine definitely are not blendable with the finger. They have to be blended with water. And again, I would call these a great all-around medium because you can draw with them as well as do all kinds of other fun things. But bottom line is they're water soluble. They're a stick of paint. And if they're, people say, are they permanent? Well, I don't know. What are you putting them on? Did you gesso first? If you have not gessoed and you're putting them on plain paper, I would call them semi-permanent. And where people sometimes run into trouble when they're dissolving a scribble stick into watercolor paint it's actually acrylic, but into paint is that they're not laying enough pigment down. So they're maybe making a circle or, making any sort of scribble. And then when they go to wet it, what happens is you still see that line under there. Now, is that not a bad thing? Is that a bad thing? Well, not in my mind, but unless you're wanting it to be completely dissolved. The thing is, it will never be completely dissolved on something like a tag because there's no substrate or there's no prep, there's no gesso down there, number one. Number two, the scribble stick is kind of getting down into the fibers of the paper and you're not, the paper's grabbed it. The unprimed paper's grabbed some of that pigment. It's not going to let it go. And number two, you haven't put down enough scribble stick. So if I really want this to dissolve, what I want to do is what I always say, lay down a lot of color. So press hard. Most of y'all are pressing hard enough. Lay down a lot of stick. So I've just basically applied a lot of dried paint to this. And then I can come back with a paintbrush and you'll find that almost all of that scribble stick that you have laid down will dissolve. And I don't know why that's the case, that it doesn't leave any marks when you put a lot of it down or leaves very few. But maybe, I don't know. We need to ask the chemist that. But even that alone looks really cool. Like, isn't that a great start of a background? I think so. And the great thing again is because these are in dry stick form, if you want to color and leave them dry, they're just going to look like a colored pencil. And is that a bad thing? Heck no, that's a great thing. But because of their solubility, they have a lot more versatility. Of course, you can blend them. Now, I'm doing this just on a white tag, so this tag is not made to take a lot of paper. Oh, see, I can still see the drawing right there a little bit. Tags are not made to take a lot of paper, or excuse me, a lot of water. So the more scribble stick I lay down and the more I wet it, the more I'm really going to kind of just chew up the tag a little bit. And it's going to get, I call it getting pulpy because you're basically stirring up that paper pulp that the tag is made of. And it starts to look, I don't know, kind of ugly. So I think on unprimed paper, like tags, maybe an unprimed journal page, you've got maybe 2 chances to hit it with water, and then you've got to lay off the water. You've just got to lay off. If you've gessoed, however, then you have way more flexibility. Do you have to gesso? Of course not. I mean, that is a great background, right? How cool is that? Really simple color blending. Now, one of the things that people struggle with too is using the scribble stick initially. So like, let's say you do it initially and you're like, okay, yay, I love it. I'm getting a lot of interesting rubbings happening from all my dried paint. So this is a Dina thing. I hate cleaning my craft sheets with a burning fiery passion. I hate it so much that half the time I just flip them over. So on the back of this craft sheet, oh look, there's a big blob of blackberry paint. There's a lot of dried paint bound down there. And what's happening are these paint blobs are showing up as I scribble. I'm a hot mess. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and wet this. So now this is wet and delicious. And what you might struggle with is, okay, now you want to lay another color down. Well, when you start laying that second color down, you'll notice it doesn't color out quite as strongly. Some of it will dissolve into that water. But what I've learned is that if you have a wet background, okay, if you have a wet background, if you want there to be a lot of pigment load on the second layer, you have to wet this stick. So the easiest thing for me to do is take my dirty paint water, I stick the stick in the paint water. I've been known to leave these in and I couldn't find a color, and I came back days later and I have a half dissolved Scribble stick in my paint water. So I hold it in the paint water for long enough for that pigment to start loosening up and dissolving into the paint water. Well, now basically I've got this yummy, delicious, like dried paintbrush full of pigment, and the wet stick will go really lovely right on that wet layer, including if that wet layer was acrylic paint. So if I would have started with acrylic paint, because this is acrylic and they have no wax in them, trust me, I have tried to melt them with my encaustic iron. There's no wax. Whether you're using acrylic or a Scribble stick, if you want the wet to go directly on the wet, it helps to wet the stick. If your background is dry, you can use the sticks dry or wet, if that makes sense, okay? So when I travel for fun, like if I'm going scuba diving or something, and I want to bring art with me, I bring Scribble sticks and a water brush, and like maybe a small white journal. And that's it, because I can do everything I need for my art making with that Scribble stick. So here I've just made backgrounds, right? Great, perfect. They're also great for coming back and doing those middle ground techniques, those supporting cast techniques. So this is gloss spray through a stencil, and I'm going to just add Scribble stick outline. And because this gloss spray is nice and dry, and the gloss spray, I can't talk today, you guys, is acrylic, the Scribble stick works great right over it. So one of the things I really love about Scribble sticks is they work on dried paint. It's hard to find a lot of mediums that are great on dried paint. We talked a little bit, well, I mentioned I draw with Inktense pencils, and then I saw that Michelle had posted a question about, do I need Inktense pencils? And of course, all of us are like, of course you do. I love Inktense pencils. Their drawback for my working process is that they don't work well on acrylic paint. They're awesome on plain paper though. So I needed, for when I could design my own kind of drawing medium and paint stick medium, I needed them to be able to work well on paint, because I might want to come back and make marks. I might want to come back and draw a face. So I can leave them dry just like that. I can partially dissolve them. Basically, anything you can do with paint, I promise you can do with a Scribble stick. Almost. I mean, I know, Kay, you love these and use them a lot. Post in the comments, Kay, and Catherine and all you guys that are old pros, Raina. Not old, like... yeah, Inktense don't work over the kind of acrylic that I do. They just don't. They don't come out the way I want them to, because I've got thick, girpy layers happening. Okay, so isn't that nice? La 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 la. Your mileage may vary. It all depends on how much paint you put down. Thin layers are going to probably grab the Inktense better. Also, don't forget that these are also, are they permanent when dry? They reactivate if you are putting them on something slippery like gesso. They will not reactivate here. not on an unprimed tag. And even on the gloss medium, I don't know. That gloss medium's on there pretty thin. I'm not sure. Like I said, so I would call them semi-permanent. They do not react like watercolor though. They don't reactivate like watercolor. All right, so I'm going to take a wet brush. I'm going to stir around. Yeah, they're great for coloring stamped images and drawings. Bess, we have literally done every single color in my line in the scribble stick form except for one. Do you guys know which one is not in the scribble stick form? Okay, my point is a wet paintbrush, flick downwards, and you've got speckle. And the reason I'm getting big dots is my paintbrush is just a little too wet. But it just makes speckling so much easier. And what's interesting about the olive scribble stick, it's in set 2, it speckles neon. So I don't understand why it does, but it's my favorite neon. I don't know, it speckles. Let me speckle this one so you can see it a bit better. The green just, it's one of my favorites to speckle. I tend to avoid speckling the red colors just because it looks a little bit like a crime scene and it's not my fave. But when you need a little instant gratification color speckle, scribble sticks are your friend. I don't keep my scribble sticks in their tin. Ooh, dirty water. That is... That is so not a good color. That was, let's see, dirty gross paint water mixed with magenta. Oops, oh well, my 3 favorite words. So in general, I scribble stick I speckle at the end of things, or you can let it dry and keep working. Scribble stick with stamps, of course, is a delight. So I got out my jellyfish stamp from my new Scribbly sea creatures. You guys, I'm going to be honest. I don't remember what I name things because I create the file in Illustrator and I send the file to Ranger and I name the file what I want. I do make serial killers. That's true, Laura. What is a good online source to get scribble sticks? Where do you live? Where do you live? Let us know where you live. Did you guys guess the color that's not in the scribble sticks? Did you guess yet? I haven't been watching the comments. I'm going to watch for just 1 second. Sorry. Oh, Kay knows it. Buff. Buff is the color. Buff is the only Dina Wakley media color that is not in scribble sticks. Can tags from the office store work? Yeah. Tags from the office store definitely work. Hi, Kristen. Ephemera Paducah. Also, Kristen owns a little shop. There are lots of little shops out there that are depending on your business. So the reason why Austria. The reason why I'd love to know, I ask you when you want to find something, I ask where you live, is because I try to refer you to the closest local shop that I know ships. Okay? So if you are a store owner and you're watching right now, and you're willing to ship products, can you just pop your link in or something like that? Because many stores are shipping. Many. Okay? Okay, I lost my train of thought. There is not a buff because we didn't have enough room. I don't have an even number of colors. So we had enough for 3 sets of 12 with 1 extra, and buff just got the cut. The buff sample, the buff prototype, was not a lot different than white. So I felt like that's one that we wouldn't miss a ton, personally. Okay. So, what you guys, you have to get me back on, in Central Oregon. Okay. So there's a store in Salem called, Scrappy Chic in Livonia, Michigan will ship. Ephemera Paducah will ship. So please post your link. Let you post a link in comments? I'm not sure. Anyhow. And also, I don't know, Runaway, she doesn't usually ship, but she's starting to with all the virus stuff. So yeah, there really wasn't room. Art from the Heart in the UK. In Texas, there's Crafty Scrapper. There is down by Houston and Friendswood, there is Scrap Shack. Oh, now you're looking at my ceiling. Yeah, Crafty Scrapper will ship. Scrap Shack. Oh, you're still looking at my ceiling, you guys. Oh, there we go. All right. What else? Papercraft Clubhouse in Connecticut will ship. I bet Scraps of Love in Arizona. Peoria will ship. You've got Creative Island or Creative Escape in San Jose. I'm sure I'm missing some, and I really am equal. In Missouri, there's Courtney, Scrapbook and Memories. In Canada, you've got Scrap Addicts, Scrapbook Central, Clipper Street. There are 3 sets. 3 sets. Simple Pleasures, yeah, thank you. Simple Pleasures will ship. All right, so I'm going to wet the stamp with water. I'm going to go ahead and add pigment directly to the stamp. I know you guys have all done this. This works with Tim Holtz's Distress crayons with, you know, all kinds of water-soluble medium, of course. I don't know if Distress crayons need to be wet first because they're so nice and soft. For a scribble stick, for this to work, you must wet the stamp. If you don't wet the stamp, nothing will happen. The pigment won't end up on your stamp, okay? And then you can take a tag or cardstock or paper, drawing paper, or anything you want. Go ahead and stamp. So I'm spraying it again. Ooh. Oh yeah, Michelle. How could I forget Michelle? Everything Scrapbook and Stamps in Florida. There are so many. They are not waxy. Yes, you can draw over them. You can actually draw over them with about anything, depending on how much pigment you've laid down. But I will draw over them here in a second. And what I usually draw over them with is, oh yeah, Impress, duh. I was just teaching at Impress. It was so stinking fun. Anyway, thank you for all, everybody's posting all kinds of links, so make sure you guys take note. Please, 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 please. Oh yeah, Valley Stamp and Scrap, duh. This is why I ask you guys to chime in, because these are all wonderful friends of mine that I, for some reason, you know, brain fart. All right, what's my point? Oh, I draw over with a Stabilo. Stabilo all pencils. So once I've stamped, before it's dry all the way, I can just take a wet brush, pull some of that pigment out. I miss diving so much, you guys. I was supposed to go diving in April, May, and June. We're supposed to do 2 weeks of Dive Into Art in Cozumel. I'm still hoping that is a go. My April trip to Honduras is definitely postponed till next year. It's just the world we're living in right now. So I really miss it. It's my happy place. When I'm under the water, it's the only time I'm not just a ball of stress, you know? And why am I a ball of stress? I don't know. I just stress out, you guys. It's a good thing my husband's so even keel, because if there were 2 of me, it would not work, right? Would not work. There's also a really lovely store in Knoxville. Why can't I think of the name of it? Oh my gosh. Christina, I could certify you. I'm an instructor. Yeah, we've all had to cancel trips, and you know, it's just what we have to do. It's better. I mean, our lives are worth more than, and the lives of others are worth more than a trip. So trips can be rescheduled as long as we're alive. So let's stay alive, my friends. Okay, so there's Scribble Stick with stamps. Of course, you can always stamp in black and then color it in, like you're coloring in a coloring book, and then wet your coloring in so that you have a really cool watercolor effect. Another nice thing about coloring in with these is that they match the paint line. So if you have used my paints in the background and then you want to repeat a color, then you can use the Scribble Stick for that repetition. It really is helpful to have all of the different colors in the same, you know, in a line in different forms. So gloss spray, Scribble Stick. So stamp, when I want to color in a stamp, I just put down a tiny little bit of pigment in corners and edges, And then I wet it, of course, and draw that color out. And the great thing about watercolor is it doesn't have to be in the lines. Right? All those really fancy coloring books you can buy in all the stores, you could totally use Scribble sticks, get your Scribble stick skills up, you know. People ask me, how do you sharpen them? My answer is I don't really, but if you wanted to, you certainly could. They don't fit into a sharpener, but what they do, what you can do is do a gesso background, which I'll show you in just one second. By the way, Tim Holtz has this new craft knife, and he gave one to me because he knows what a hot mess I am, and he's just a generous soul, and it's retractable. So how cool is that? Because I lose lids. I tell you guys all the time to save your lids to your gloss sprays. I have about 5 sitting over there with no lid. Like, I cannot practice what I preach. So anyway, I just love that that's retractable. But you can also use a knife to sharpen the Scribble sticks. Okay? All right. Anyway, you get the idea, right? I'm just going to give her the pox. Attention deficit, oh squirrel. Okay, so let us do this over some gesso. So I pre-gessoed a couple of pages, and when you really want these to be a lovely flowy background medium, sorry that the table shakes. I've got this really cool new tripod that holds my phone and my iPad, but it does shake when I wibble the table. So when I'm doing a background, I lay down tons of pigment, tons. Don't be light with your pigment. Lay a lot down. Press hard. This scribbling is what gets the aggressions and gets the stress out. By the way, Tim named Scribble sticks. I couldn't think of what to name them, and he came up with the idea. Isn't that cool? So by adding a little bit of water, I'm dissolving all of that pigment, turning it into a painted background. So when that's dry, you're going to be hard pressed to know whether I used acrylic paint there or whether I used the Scribble sticks. So because this is wet, I need to use a wet stick if I want to continue on the wet bit. La 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 la. Did I mention this? My ADD is so bad. I don't use them in the tins. I keep them in little baskets. The tins are the devil for me because having to put them back in, oh my word. You crocheted a dress in these colors. Hey, I would crochet a dress in these colors now. So if you wet the stick, then you can scribble into the wet layer. La, 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 la. So as I kind of finish this little background, get the idea, right? How easy it is to just make a background with these. The key, if you want them to move around a lot, the key is a gesso layer and laying down a significant amount of pigment. And again, another reason why I love these, because the background element, middle ground element, they're just fantastic. Okay, so Scribble stick. This is on the gessoed page, yeah. So by gessoing, I can really move the stick around. I can do it on a non-gessoed page. That's code for where do you think a non-gessoed journal would be? So, no. Okie doke. So let's say I have a page that's not gessoed. So this, let me just check. This is not gessoed. So I can definitely do a similar idea, but that page is going to grab. You're not going to get quite the same movement, but you're still going to get a lot if you lay down a lot of pigment. So, you know, I would say these are gesso optional. That's what I also say about gloss sprays. Clear or white does not matter. You have a non-gesso journal, send it over. But because I laid down a decent amount of pigment, can you see how I still have marks back there though? So that could happen. Will you be doing a faces class again? There is a simple video on YouTube that's about 10 minutes long of how to draw a quick face. And I'm happy to do that again as well during one of my daily demos too. Happy to do that. Okay. So, but still looks pretty dang good, right? So, you know, gesso optional. Cool? Cool beans? Oh my gosh, you guys, I was looking on Amazon today because I decided I need a CPAP pillow for my new sleeping Darth Vader mask. And there is a cookbook called Cool Beans. And I was like, oh my gosh, I seriously need this cookbook called Cool Beans. I don't know, I just got the biggest, simple things make me happy, y'all. They make me happy. Okay, so you get the idea that they can be backgrounds, right? You can stamped images. This could be background stamping. This could be, I could put a word on that and then that could be done, right? That could have a quote. That can be done. They really mix and match with the other, with everything else you've got. Just use them with what you've got. Okay, so let's draw with them though. So back to that whole confident creative idea. If you think you can't draw, you're right. You're right, you can't. Whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right. So, I tell this story all the time. I tell my drawing origin story that I spent, cool beans is just a saying, it means cool. It's just a saying we used to say in the 80s. Your Siri answered, oh my gosh. But I used to say for years that the reason I use stamps and stencils is that I don't draw. And I once heard a teacher tell me, oh, I can teach anyone to draw. And I thought, oh, yeah, I dare you. You can't teach me. And then it was that same Sharon Tomlinson class that I mentioned where I learned how to rub through a stencil that I took years ago that I drew my first face. And it was weird. It was out of proportion and funky, but it was the best I had done up to that point. So I was thrilled. Like I was tickled. And my good friend Diane Reedley loves to tell everybody how sucky my faces were at the beginning. And they were. I laugh so hard when I see some of them, but I was thrilled because for years I said I couldn't do it. And then I found out I can. I can do it. And again, I'm not going to, all of a sudden be the caricature artist at Disneyland, but for my own personal enjoyment, it's so fun. And I am not done with my drawing journey. I'm still on that drawing journey, and I don't practice nearly enough. So I definitely need to practice more and set a goal and do that. But okay, I have to say, the way this is drawing makes me think that it was gessoed. Do you see how it's soaking in funny there? Not funny, but like it looks like it's been gessoed, so maybe I have gessoed that page. I don't know. All right. So the other story I like to tell about drawing, besides the one that I told at the beginning, is that there's an artist named Eric Fischl, and he has a memoir called Bad Boy. If you're at all interested in art, I would recommend reading that book, Bad Boy. It's called Bad Boy because that's the name of one of his paintings. And he tends to do some sort of weird subversive paintings. But he went to art school for abstract painting, got out of art school, decided that he didn't want to be an abstract painter, but he didn't know how to draw. I mean, this man went to art school and then didn't know how to draw. So he taught himself how to draw over the next decade. And now his paintings are held by Museum of Modern Art. Phoenix Art Museum has an Eric Fischl. They're collected by collectors all over the world, and they go for millions of dollars. So again, how badly do you want it, right? How badly do you want it? So if you set aside a little time every day to practice your drawing, then it will get better. And the great thing about Scribble sticks is they are a forgiving medium, because something as simple as circles look amazing. So if you're new and you don't want to tackle faces, and we're going to do faces on another day, you guys, not today. But if you don't want to tackle faces, surely you can draw a circle, right? And then when you add a little water, all of a sudden it looks so much better. Then you look at that circle and you think, you know what that could be? That could be a flower. Because the bottom line, what every drawing teacher will teach you is that everything is grounded in basic shapes, basic geometry. And go buy drawing books for kids. Don't buy the ones for adults. The adult ones are so complicated and they want you to measure, get out rulers and measure lines for your perspective and stuff like that. I'm not going to be drawing, you know, the Vatican in a drawing. I just want to draw for fun. So I've learned simple shapes can teach me how to draw about everything. So now I've got lollipop flowers, right? And it really, and you can always say you can draw a leaf with a stem, right? Or a stick with a leaf with a stem. Same idea. A stick with a leaf. I promise you can draw a stick with a leaf. And then if you just lower your standards, you'll have a lot more fun with what you've drawn. Okay, so does that count as a drawing? Why not? It does for us. It does for us. Back in the very first video, I showed you how I like to do faces in one line. So one line of faces. So let's do that again. So this is not proportional faces. These are what I call my weird funky faces. So let's just start with head shape. By the way, cheddar is the best scribble stick ever. There's either cheddar lovers or cheddar haters. I love cheddar. Love it. People ask me all the time, are there ever going to be like single sticks to buy? Probably not. So we use them all. Because a body can just be a top of a carrot, right? That poor person has no neck. Aww. Or it's a candle. Or, you know, we're into abstract drawing here, right? We're not, I know, I'll make the other scribble sticks jealous. Oh, cheddar's just the bomb. Who was it in England when I was teaching in the UK? I teach there once or twice a year. I've taught there once or twice a year for 10 years. And I lived in England when I was a kid. I lived in Kings Lynn in Norfolk County. So I love England. It feels like home for me. But I was there once teaching and somebody said to me, cheddar is not orange. And I was like, ooh, it is from Wisconsin. There's white cheddar too though, right? Okay, so now I'm going to come back with a darker scribble stick, and I'm going to draw one of those faces on here. And the reason why I don't have to wet the stick is I've been blobbing for so long that this background is almost dry, this yellow blob, because and I didn't add a lot of water to it. I just barely wet it. La, da, 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 da. Hello, mutant. And then I might dissolve that a little bit. I call this the skeleton drawing. Basically, oh, that's kind of cool. Basically what happens underneath, and then I go back and I do what I call crisping it up, meaning I'm going to come back with a Stabilo pencil, a black pencil. This is a Stabilo All ALL, and whatever is most important in that drawing, I'm going to give it a black outline. And you know, I don't always outline, but it's just another wonderful element you can add. See how that pops more with a scribble stick outline? Isn't that cool? I'm so glad I converted some people to cheddar. I love cheddar. Okay, so here's my kind of scribble stick drawing, which can stand on its own. That's a-okay. It is simple. Listen, I'm a complicated creature emotionally, but I am simple in my art. The pencil is not permanent. No, indeed. All right, so then I'm gonna come back and those crazy people, I'm gonna do it in black right over that blue aura. La 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 la. I'm so much more perkier in the morning, you guys. Seriously, 6 hours of sleep. That's wild. A little bit of that. Let's color a background. I do love me a blue. Yeah, the Stabilo, so not permanent. If you do want it to be permanent, you're gonna have to fix it. And what I use to fix a Stabilo is workable fixative. I only fix a Stabilo if it's something I'm gonna sell, or if it's something that, you know, I'm gonna put on my wall. I might fix it. In journals or a simple tag, I wouldn't bother fixing it. Now, let's say I want to paint something over that and not dissolve the Stabilo. Well, then I just avoid lines. So what I'll do, so like, let's say if I think, oh, now I want to add paint on this, I come back. Okay, I'm doing a terrible job keeping up with comments, you guys. I apologize. I come back. Oh, that is almost the same color, so you probably cannot see it. Let's pick something. Let's pick a darker color. All right, so this is probably ocean. So I'm gonna dance next to those lines, but I'm not gonna paint over them, because if I paint over them, oops, they start to do what I call blurring out. They blur out a little bit. Such is life, right? La, 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 la. Why is Camptown Races in my head, you guys? Seriously, Camptown Races? Oh my word. I promise I'm not on drugs or doing anything weird. I have had like 3 cans of Diet Coke this morning though, so there is that. I think one of my reasons I'm always dependent on Diet Coke is because I'm absolutely exhausted. So I think maybe this will help me kick the habit a little bit, being able to sleep better. So I'm going to dance around the lines, not paint over the lines, dance near them. Because if you paint over them, you get a hot mess, right? And then I can still speckle right over that acrylic. You hear Smurfs. Oh my word. Have you guys gotten to the point that you've forgotten what day it is? I tend to be a bit like that. Yay. So that is drawing with the Scribble stick. So I hope that helps you see that Scribble sticks really can be involved in this entire process. You can use them for focal points, right? You can draw with them, stamp with them, write words with them. You can, I mean, stenciling with them, there's probably a way. I don't worry about that too much. But you know, speckle, add art marks, tons of art marks with them. They're just, and then they're great for backgrounds. Just great for backgrounds. And so here's my little challenge. If you own Scribble sticks, use them today. Make circles. Make circles with a couple of different colors on a piece of cardstock, on paper, on anything you want. And get a feel for them. Chances are you're not pressing hard enough, so press really nice and hard. And that will really help you get the maximum pigment out of those sticks. I had a couple people message me and say that they felt like the set 3 of the sticks wasn't laying down a lot of pigment. They really are laying down a lot of pigment. It's just they're so much lighter. You really can't tell as much because the color is not so dense. But I promise the light Scribble sticks work the same. And then the metallics are kind of fun. So this is aloe mixed with my dirty paint water. Delicious. I will say that the metallics are really fun. I tend to not wet them. The minute you wet that metallic what's going to happen is it's going to spread out all those little metal particles that kind of make them cool. So in general, I use the metallics for art marks on top of things. Oh, the third set on black paper is a great tip. Yeah, anything light looks good on anything dark, right? So if you've got black paper, you can. So I bought this little black journal at Art from the Heart. I don't want to get, isn't it cool? It is also covered in cat hair, like literally everything in my house. But, you know, look how amazing they look on black paper. I wonder if we're gonna have metallic sprays. Pastels on black. I think wetting the metallics just makes sure that you're really laying down a lot of pigment. Oh, and the metallics are also really, there's 3 sets. The metallics are also really, really good with, for skin tones. Kind of light to medium skin tones. We definitely need more options for skin tones for people of color. We need more stamps that represent people of color. And it's something that's on my mind and Diane's mind. So it's set 3. The metallics are in set 3. So there are some amazing artists of color who create amazing things, and they need to be better. People of color need to be better represented in our industry. So that's kind of, Diane and I have made a pinky swear pact to try to get that to happen this year. Because you can't just pop open a bottle and get skin. It's not possible. Also, if you haven't tried my black gesso. So my black gesso is the bomb. It has a chalkboard finish. And so you black gesso over something, let it dry, and then these on the black gesso, oh, angels will sing. Have you ever drawn a funky face Frida? I haven't really, but that's a good idea. You should do it, Pat. All right. Any other last questions about scribble sticks? And I will let you guys get back on with your day. Did I miss some? If I missed them, now is your chance to ask me again, because I'm gonna just pay closer attention to the comments for just a couple of minutes. I hope that demystified scribble sticks for you as well. Hope it gave you that little push to use them. I do have I have a Frida stamp set, but she's more in proportion. Yeah, I mean, if you're a person of color, don't you want to use a stamp that looks like you? Absolutely you do. So I'm using Facebook Live for this video. Can you try wetting? Yeah, I can try wetting it. This paper's not really made, it's a notebook, so it's not really made to take a lot of water. Jellyfish are one of my favorite marine creatures. So, I mean, when you see one, it's just awe-inspiring, but then you keep your distance because chatter's my favorite. A jellyfish sting is no bueno. We had a gal, we were in Palau, and we jumped in the water, and she had on a wetsuit, but she still got stung on her hand. What surface do you prefer them on? I don't even have a preference, Betsy. I just, whatever my project, I don't think that much. So they're kind of wetting into beautiful balls of sparkle. Oh, I love night too. So you get a really pretty, almost like you smeared eyeshadow on for the club. Yeah, oh my gosh, if you have this, who is this by? I don't know if anybody from England. Oh, I did check out the Jellyfish Cam. I think you posted it, and I looked for it. This is by Archer and Olive. And I bought it at Art from the Heart. Yeah, Sharona, absolutely. Hard to find anything. And I've talked to a lot of people of color in my classes. We had a great discussion about it in Puerto Rico. Milagros Rivera, who owns a shop in Puerto Rico and is an amazing artist, she started making Latina-inspired stamps, and she wasn't sure people would even buy them. And then every time she made them, she sells out. I mean, it's just amazing. No, let's see. Something about a purple undertone. I missed that. Yeah, the night stick has a blue undertone and not a purple undertone, so I'm not sure. We just couldn't get it quite correct, but we had to say thanks. Have you tried the metallics on stamps on black? I have not. Okay, why don't you try that for us and post it and tag me? That would be amazing. It is hard to get deep skin toned if you don't start with the right, if you don't start with deep enough original colors, right? So it's so important, you guys. So important. Yeah, we talked about it. Yeah, Wendy, you're the artist we talked about it with. Yeah, and since then, Wendy, like the last couple classes that we talked about it in, well, we talked about it with you guys quite extensively. And then I went to 2 other locations, and randomly 2 other people brought it up. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so weird because we just talked about this in Puerto Rico. So there's a really lovely artist named Danielle Mack, M-A-C-K. She's waiting on an email from me. I told her to email me and then I haven't written her back because I suck. But her drawings, oh my gosh, would need to be stamped, you guys. Yeah, they just need to be stamps. She's amazing. We've got to figure out how to make that happen. Yeah, there's a demand, there should be a supply. And I would, hey, listen, I'll use stamps. I want people of all ethnicities, weights, looks. You know, I like reality, and I just think it's important. Yeah, Danielle Mack is incredible. She is absolutely, I even emailed Stampers Anonymous and Ranger about Danielle. Didn't hear from them back, but I just need to pester them again. All right, any last comments? Hope you guys have an awesome Tuesday. Play. And if you're doing the technique tag book, do you remember that from the other day? You could save 1 or 2 of these Scribble stick tags for your tag book because they count as an acrylic technique, right? So if you do a couple tags, save them right where you did on the back. I know, Janine, I agree. Let's all let's do a letter writing campaign. Oh my word. Hey, thank you guys for being awesome too. I really appreciate you. Yes, she is a disability icon. And Kirsty, you know, somebody emailed me today and asked if anybody could draw her a scribbly wheelchair because she's wheelchair bound. And I was like, oh my gosh, that is such a good idea. Fatima, I'd love to come back to Michigan. I'm actually booked at Scrappy Chic. We couldn't fit it in this year, but it looks like it doesn't matter. I think we're booked in spring next year. So as soon as this social distancing is lifted, you guys, I'm all over you like herpes. Cool? I know. Tuesday? Is it Tuesday? Oh yeah. All right. Thanks, you guys. Have an awesome day. Post. And remember to hashtag. I've taught in Quebec a couple of times at Scrapbook Central, and she is still on my waiting list. So I will make it back there eventually. All right. Westbrook. I'm supposed to come to Westbrook at the end of May. However, we are so not sure if that's going to be possible at this point. So we're going to announce classes, but not take your money. So we will see what happens with that. But if not, I'll reschedule. I'll work every weekend if I have to get to you guys. So, all right. See you guys. Bye.